I am here today with Candace Currie. And Candace, how did you get to Stockbridge?
How did I get to Stockbridge? I am married to Edie Pasalis, and Edie, since the early 2000s, started working for Kripalu, and yet our life was next to Cambridge in Watertown, Massachusetts, where I was working at Mount Auburn Cemetery. So we began a commuting partnership. She would come out here, and then I would come out here for the weekends. But in the meantime, my commute to work when I lived in Watertown was walking down Mount Auburn Street into this fantastic 175-acre cemetery, but it's also a botanic garden. And it has over 5,000 trees, and 100,000 people are buried there. And yet I became enamored in this place that is in the center of the cemetery at Mount Auburn is a vernal pool. And when it was founded in 1831, thousands of people traveled the 6 miles from downtown Boston for the special prayers and hymns that happened around that vernal pool. And so it's really a sacred place, and the trees are adding to that. And so when I started at Mount Auburn, I was literally hugging trees. I was measuring them at DBH, is called diameter at breast height, which is about 4 feet high off the ground. And so I would be hugging these trees to find out how large are they, and then in a few years we'd go back again and measure them again to see how they're growing. And we would also attempt to identify them, which was kind of hard because it's a botanic garden, which means it has trees from all over the world. Anything that can survive in the northern temperate climate could be planted at Mount Auburn. So it's not just a native landscape.
In ways in Stockbridge, how would you help Stockbridge being greener?
Somehow I became enamored of cemeteries, and it started with Mount Auburn, but it was also important for me to become a member of the Cemetery Commission here in Stockbridge. And it broke my heart when I first went into that cemetery because I saw these ginormous stumps that perhaps were white pines, just like we're standing under white pines right now. I love white pines. I grew up with white pines, even though they're weak-limbed and I wouldn't stand under them in the windstorm. But these ginormous stumps that are in the cemetery right now, it broke my heart to see them. And in fact, whenever I was responsible for a project at Mount Auburn Cemetery, we had to cut down some white pines. Mm-hmm. And I stood off to the side and I cried when they came down. So trees are important. Trees really, for me, are what makes a cemetery alive, because I really think it can be alive. And I think the cemetery in Stockbridge needs to add understory, some ground covers, some shrubs, and some upper canopies, particularly as we're seeing the pines dying back and the spruces dying back. We have to work with people who are really smart about what might be some great trees to plant as we anticipate climate change, as we anticipate things getting warmer, things getting wetter. What would be the appropriate trees to put in? So I'm really eager to work with some people who are experts in horticulture and arboriculture to find what are the right plants so that we can bring some of that life back into the Stockbridge Cemetery.
Oh, Candace, that's wonderful to have you for a neighbor in Stockbridge. Look forward to visit the cemetery with all these potential improvements and find solace there. Thank you, Candace.
Thank you.